Hello, everyone. Happy May 1st. We are gearing up to the month of the snake. So here we are back to our routine. And hopefully, I was just saying this before the recording, we have had a chance to decompress from the dragon month. One of the things is we can't do virtually in this setting is for me to get your feedback, but feel free to type in your sort of your quick summary on how the dragon was, but pulling in from the energy of the dragon, it was really the beat that we all need. It's kind of like the nap during the day to get us going, because as we move into May, going into the summer months, especially as we move into the month of September of this year, there's just a lot of energy. Everything is heightened, People send me messages and say, oh, it was really bad or it was really good, because it's not a matter of is it good or bad, is it positive or is it negative? It's just that the energy is very heightened. So anything you feel could be double the effect, right? And so the dragon is a very essential month to allow ourselves a moment of breath, to start creating some spaces in our life so that we can do more as we move into the year. And most importantly, the Dragon Month was a preview to how 2024 is going to look, because 2024 is the year of the dragon. And so I hope you were paying attention. I hope you were journaling. Maybe you need to look through some pictures and to see some of the highlights of April and giving you a sense of what next year will bring. The beauty of this is not to self-prophesy negative things, but it is to give us nuggets so that we can do better, we can make better choices, and we can make some adjustments moving forward. Okay. Yeah, someone said, I tried to scale back, but it was a challenge. At least I started doing yoga. Hey, that's a big positive step forward. Sometimes we can't always put a pause on life, but remember what I kept saying last month was we need to create stillness throughout the day, those moments of stillness throughout the day. We may not be able to take sabbatical. We may not be able to, completely unplug from life, if you will. Maybe we're parents to children and we have responsibilities and obligations, but that's the important lesson of the month of the dragon, was how do I create those moments of stillness in the midst of the busyness of life and all the demands that life requires. So if you miss any of the talk in the past, they're uploaded here on my YouTube channel. Just Google YouTube Feng Shui by Jen, and you can always look back. I do encourage people to at least listen back to the previous talks, because they're kind of an important prompts for you to reflect on some of the things that happened, conversations that you may have had, the people that you came across with, and they just help shed light and to give you a sense of awareness of how the energy is moving more specifically to you in your life, and you get to carry that with you moving forward. All right, so we still have people coming in, so I got a little distracted, but here we are. We are 5 days away from the month of the snake. The snake is a yin fire element, okay? It marks the beginning of the summer season. And I know for us here in Arizona, it may seem strange because we felt summer probably a lot sooner than that, but it symbolizes the beginning of fire, okay, the beginning of the summer season. So the spring season has done its job. It has done its job to plant the seeds. It's done its job to allow the seeds to grow. And now we are stepping into the season where we are ready to embark on our adventures. And so from a Chinese medicine perspective, fire element is connected to our heart, our cardiovascular health, as well as the eyes. It's a little bit different. Some Chinese medicine methodology look at the eyes as element, but for BaZi's sake, we actually say that it is related to the fire element. So think about what that means here for a moment. What do your eyes see? Do they see beautiful things? Do they see things that inspire you to create, inspire you to want to do greater things? What does your heart feel? Does it touch on things that spark, spark inspiration to push and pull you to a different direction in your life? And so really paying attention to those body parts, especially in the month of May. Some of us might feel it physically. For example, we might feel nervous, or we might get heart palpitation, a shortness of breath. Some of us might feel that more on an emotional sense, like we feel full of love in our heart. We feel a sudden sense of optimism. Maybe there's a shift in our heart space, but it's also, an invitation to examine if we are suppressing any anger that is stored in our hearts as well. So we'll talk a little bit about what all of that means coming into the month of May. And so I like to think that the theme of May is not so much about grounding like it was last month, but it's more about we're ready. We're ready to go on an adventure, okay? So ask yourself as you're kind of sitting there in front of your computer, listening to me yip yap about the snake month is to ask yourself, am I ready? Have I prepared and done all the things that I need to do, including resting, including creating the spaces in my life so that I am ready to embark on this adventure, whatever the adventure is for you? Might be starting a new business, might be trying a new friendship, or it might be as simple as, I'm ready to have better routines in my life so that I can work on my fitness, or I'm ready to communicate differently with my spouse. I'm ready to have healthier choices with my finances, whatever that is. The theme really of the snake month is about readiness. So I like to think of, I always like to think of the snake as kind of like when the rocket is getting ready to launch. Just imagine how much power and fuel, right, and energy that goes behind sending that rocket up to the sky. You're ready to fly. And so all the preparation and all of the diligence and the praying and the meditation and everything that goes behind it, just the anticipation, right? You ever watch kind of the rocket launch on TV? Sometimes you're kind of holding your breath a little bit like, oh, here we go. It's exciting, but it's nerve-wracking. But there is the thought and the dream of something amazing. So that's really, I hope you can hear that in my description and in my voice, sort of the energy behind that. That's what the month of the snake is. So because the snake is a yin fire element, so we have yin and we have yang. The yang fire element comes in June, okay, but the month of May is yin fire. So we often compare yin fire to a spark, just kind of like a match, like that. And so there's a saying that it carries a range of implications, right? It's like you can start a spark of fire to create a bonfire to warm the hearts of those that are standing around the bonfire, or you can create a spark that becomes like a nuclear bomb. So yin fire has a tendency to be a little bit precarious, where it can go either way. Think of it as a flicker, a flame, like a candle, right? So the candle is not that fragile, actually, because one single flame, right, can light up an entire bonfire or a fireplace to give warmth and life, right, to those that need it in the middle of the cold, or it can catch fire on a curtain and set the house on fire. So there's a precarious energy to the month of the snake. So we have to be very mindful of what we're ready to do, all the things that we've been diligent about. That's why the month of the dragon was so essential for us to lay the foundation and that we have good clarity on what it is that we are getting ready to launch. So here are some words I always like to give for people to meditate on, or, to use it as a theme for their journals, to prompt them. This is the month to be ready, to be open, to be inspired, to be the light, right? How important it is to be the light, not just for yourself, but for those that are close to you, especially those that are struggling, the people that you care about. And also, this is the month where we're going to be asked to be courageous, right? There's no backing out now. The astronauts are inside the rocket. We're getting ready to launch. There is no more backing out. This is it. And so asking yourself, I've been prepared. I've been dreaming of this. I've been practicing for this. I've meditated on this. And so this is the time for me to go. It's time for me to pull the trigger. It's time for me to do this. It's not the month to dilly-dally, second guessing yourself. All of that will backfire, literally backfire and become like a nuclear bomb, okay? So we don't want to do that. We want to be courageous. It's an invitation for us to gear up and launch. Use everything you've got, all your strength, to set your dreams and your goals in motion. Remembering that the dragon was an essential ingredient to help ground us, because this is what we are preparing for now. But not be fooled, our hearts will be tested, okay? And so our tenacity and our conviction on what it is that we believe, as well as our patience, will all be put on the test, will be on full display. And so I'd like to think that the month of the snake is really to test us, to see what are we really made of. Now, the snake month is extra special because this is a double nobleman month to those that already have a nobleman year. Okay, so if you were born in the year or the day of yin water or yang water, so if you see these two Chinese symbols in your year pillar or on your day pillar, that means the month of the snake is also your nobleman month. So for those people, how lucky, okay? Can you imagine the babies that are born this month? They are already born with double nobleman, okay? And then if they were born on a snake day or a rabbit day, they have triple nobleman. So this is a very, very interesting time, super special. But if you learn BaZi very intricately, you'll see that whenever energy is special, there's a lot going on there, okay? So just paying attention. So if the nobleman month applies to you, I mean, this is it, okay? What are you waiting for? It's time to get healthy. It's time to get going, okay? It's a month to strive, but also remembering that the nobleman is there to assist. So asking for help and leaning into those help is going to be very important for you to be able to make use of this nobleman. We always pay attention to the clash. No one is exempt from the clash. Clash is essential ingredient, okay, for helping to move things in life. Clash, essential ingredient to create new experiences. So imagine, right, that's an essential thing if you want something new, if you want something different in your life. So clash is what's going to make that happen, okay? Don't be afraid of the clash. Now, probably not the month to be going bungee jumping and race car driving, doing anything physically risky, but it is a time to embrace change for the short amount of period of time. And so if you see a pig sign, any pig sign in your 4 pillars, whether you're born in the year, month, day, or time of the pig, that means May is going to be your clash month. So take care of the feng shui of your house for the month, especially if you're under clash, which we'll cover here in a second. But also we usually advise to carry an amulet. The amulet is for BaZi, very similar to why we use different feng shui objects in our homes. And the amulet that we carry for the month of May is the jade pendant of a monkey, okay? The monkey will help to alleviate some of that clash, the intensity of the clash. But I would say more importantly is to take care of the feng shui, take care of your health, and be very, very mindful in all of your dealings so that you're not like on autopilot. You're kind of just drive, you know, how sometimes when you're driving from your home to your office, you're kind of on autopilot. Clash, we need to be a little bit more alert and a little bit more diligent. Okay, so what's interesting about this clash, it's not an ordinary kind of clash, because the snake, like I said, is a fire element, and the pig that it clashes with is a water element, okay? And so just imagine, well, in the Chinese 5 elements cycle, we call this the controlling cycle, right? Water controls fire, or water extinguishes fire. And so we naturally, in our logic brain, think that, well, then water puts out fire. That means fire dies, or, you know, water is depleted, right? Because it's been used up. Actually, the controlling cycle, especially in traditional classical feng shui, is incredibly activating. I used to like to use the analogy of, you know, if you're walking in a parking lot and somebody came up to try and rob you, what would you do? You probably get startled, first of all, but you may even want to fight back, okay? So technically speaking, the water and fire element are complementary, even though they are in a controlling cycle. This is one of the most, I would say, misunderstood or not completely understood in Chinese metaphysics in the Western world. But when you learn more about the interrelationship between fire and water from a traditional Chinese medicine perspective, as well as in I Ching, you actually will note that the fire and water elements are complementary, and they are essential to the balance of all things. There's friction between water and fire. But here's a beautiful description, you know, just from like kinetic energy. Yes, this excites each other, right? It stimulates the energy even more, irritating it, agitating it, causing it to be more stimulated, okay? So the month of May, there's a lot of stimulation happening this month. And also, from a health perspective, you know, fire is related to our heart, water is related to our kidneys. And traditionally speaking, in TCM, we look at the fire and the kidney relationship as a whole. Usually, if you have high blood pressure or heart palpitation or high cholesterol, a Chinese medicine doctor would actually look at your kidneys. If you are having, you know, problems with making decisions, you're kind of wishy-washy, or you are prone to anxiety and depression, you're kind of really nervous kind of person, the Chinese medicine doctor might actually look at the heart. So they're both intertwined, they're connected, okay? From a Western medicine perspective, we understand that these two organs in our body, when they function well, usually the person's wellness is also centered and in balance. So one of the things we have to pay attention to this month is called a fire penalty. I know in the past we've talked a lot about earth penalty, because earth penalty happens a lot because of just how many times the earth sign shows up in the years and during the season. But there's another set of penalty that's called fire penalty. And the fire penalty is made up of 3 animals called the tiger, the snake, and the monkey. And because this is the month of May, the snake energy is already here, okay? It's gonna be here between May 5th to May 6th to June 6th. And so one of the things you wanna pay attention to is to look at your own BaZi chart and see if you already have a tiger and a monkey sign in your 4 pillars. So here's an example of a person who was born in the year of the monkey, the day of the tiger, and also the day of the hour of the tiger. So this person inherently already has what we call half penalty. Half penalty means they're only waiting for the 3rd animal sign to show up. And in this case, they're just waiting for the snake. So whenever the snake energy shows up, whether it's a day, the month, or the year, it's going to instigate this energy called fire penalty. And just like earth penalty is not a good thing, okay? And it affects the different parts of our body and our mind. So here are some red flags. Is we have to pay attention again to the relationship of water and fire. So think of water emotions, for example. Ask yourself, am I the kind of person that's prone to anxiety and nervousness? How do I sleep? Like I'm a restless sleeper, or I have insomnia, or I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm wide awake, or I'm also an overthinker, okay? The water emotion is very, very important too, because that's where it houses the spirit. We call it the Shen in Chinese, okay? It talks about the person's spirit. Usually when you're sick, you're not grounded, you're kind of all over the place, and you're just really out of whack. That's a reflection of the Shen kind of not being in the body, and we can see it in the person's eyes, okay? That's what we mean by the Shen. So the overthinking, kind of the over-ruminating, over-planner, just the overindulging of the mind, okay? Super analytical, that's what we mean by the spirit, the Shen. But the fire emotions, now going back, everyone's different, right? We all react differently, but asking yourself, when I'm upset, or when I'm stressed, or when I'm tired, where do I tend to go? Like what emotion from this list do I tend to go? Do I suppress my anger so I don't tell anybody that I'm mad? I kind of just shut down, keeping it to myself, and then you see smoke coming out of the person's ears. Or are you the kind of person that just blow up very easily, start throwing things and banging on things? We also call it inappropriate hyperactivity or laughter. Some people, when they're nervous or when they're uncomfortable, they start laughing. Have you ever seen people that start laughing at funerals? Okay, they're not laughing because it's funny. They're laughing because there's actually an imbalance of the fire emotion related to that person. Inappropriate hyperactivity just means busybody, okay? You're always doing something. You cannot stop, just cannot be still, okay? Just imagine the fire, right? It's kind of like all over the place and it just keeps on moving. It's like where is the off button? Okay, that's what we mean by inappropriate hyperactivity. So these are some of the key emotions that I want you to pay attention to, especially if you are prone to the fire penalty. Then we look at the body, okay? We always have to look at the emotion in the body. The water element is here in our lower back, because that's where our kidneys sit. So sometimes people's lower backs start to ache or have like some tenderness there. And usually that is maybe you slept weird, sure. Maybe you have some muscle tension because you were working out or not working out. But also from an energetic perspective, it means you don't feel supported in life. Like nobody has my back, or that person doesn't have my back. So there's also a symbol to why our lower back aches. When you have weak knees, okay, whether that's joint related because of some inflammation or arthritis, rigid joints, you're kind of not very flexible. You have buzzing in the ears because the ears is a water element. Or you also have frequent urination, okay? Like you always have to get up and go pee, all right? So all of this is related to the imbalance of the water element in our physical body. And here we are with the fire element in our physical body. Again, it's related to our cardiovascular health. Very common, sometimes people have sweaty hands. Is also a fire element physical symptom. Bloodshot eyes, okay? Or you bleed, like if you get a cut, and you don't heal very quickly, or you bruise very easily. You can see, you just kind of bang on something and then it turns purple and you have it for like a week. So these are some of the symptoms, some of the signs that you want to be paying attention to. So if you do have fire penalty possibility in your chart, these are some things that you really need to work on. Now, I can't tell, obviously, from doing this Zoom session to see whether or not fire or water is your imbalance. Like some people have too much fire, Okay, too much fire, that means they need a little bit more water to balance out the fire. Some people have, very, very little fire, and they need more fire in order to give that fire more life. So there's different kinds of scenarios on how people's BaZi charts will react to the fire penalty. But for women, especially if you're in your fertility stage, a healthy balance of water and fire, this is responsible for governing fertility for women. When I work with women, usually when they're referred to me by acupuncturists or Chinese medicine doctors, or even just my BaZi clients, and they're interested in getting pregnant, having a baby, when they're experiencing difficulties conceiving, or they conceive and have a lot of miscarriages, or just have whatever fertility issues that might come up for a woman, without the consideration of science and human intervention, I'm just talking about the organic purity of the elements themselves, it's usually because there is a really, really stark, huge imbalance between the water and fire element in a women's BaZi chart. These are some things that are very deep, okay, and it's a little bit more advanced and requires training for you to be able to see that in a person's chart. But so important, when you're having your menstrual cycle, some women are irregular, some women bleed very heavily, right? These are all kind of irregular menstrual cycle, which affects the hormones and all the things. And finally, the water element, like I said, it houses the Shen, the spirit of the person, but it's also the will of the person. When people have so much guts, they really don't care what other people think, and they persevere, and they are so resilient. Nothing will take me down. I mean, that's what I mean by the will. It's gumption of the person. When a person exhibits that kind of behavior, it means their water element, or the kidney chi, is very, very strong. And when you have that, then the fire penalty is not so bad, okay? But when you're already, when the will of the person is already weak, very fragile, very vulnerable, and then the fire penalty comes, it's not so good, okay? So here's just some fun examples. Well, maybe not fun because they're real people, but here's an example of Elvis Presley's chart. It's very interesting because you can see Elvis Presley was already born with a half penalty, okay? Half penalty. Remember, the fire penalty is the tiger, monkey, and snake, okay? So he was already born the day of the monkey and then the hour of the tiger. So his entire life, he's kind of just waiting for that snake element to show up. So then he turned 39 during this decade. Between the age of 39 to 49, he enters into the luck of the snake. So that fire penalty combination is complete, okay? They finally come together. One element see each other, they all come and make BFFs. They're all BFFs. And the problem is, as we know now in Elvis Presley's life, he wasn't exactly the healthiest person, okay? So a lot of, health, health damage, drug abuse, not taking care of your diet, not exercising. And we all know he got kind of heavy, right? During this previous luck cycle coming into the age 39, he got kind of hefty, okay, because he wasn't really taking care of himself. So the weight or the strength or the severity of the penalty, people ask me this all the time. They're like, Jen, what's going to happen to my penalty? And I'm always like, what are you doing now? What are you doing today? What are you going to bring with you when you enter into that penalty? Remember, this is BaZi. BaZi is fixed, right? These characters are fixed. It's kind of like a deck of cards that's been given to you. It is what it is. You're going to have to make the most out of it. But it's a matter of what are the choices I'm going to make as I react to these elements. So I'm going to take care of myself better. Am I going to preserve my relationships, right? Am I going to do everything that I can to make sure I am in my optimal state in order for me to not just survive the penalty, but to manage it well? So here is, he died in August 16th of 1977. He was only 42 years old. What's interesting, you look at his death date. We don't know exactly what time because they found him much, much later and they couldn't determine his real death time. But he died in the year of the snake, in the month of the monkey, on the day of the snake. So you can see all of that fire penalty was very much present at the time of his death. And of course, the cause of death was a heart attack. That's a fire penalty because it's related to our cardio, related to the blood. And you can see he had all kinds of prescription drug abuse and unhealthy eating habits that severely compromise his health. Now, there could be another person with the exact same birthday, but they didn't die. Maybe they had something else that happened to them, but perhaps they were able to survive it because of the different choices that they made leading up to this decade. Here is another actor. His name was Bill Paxton. I actually like him as an actor, but he also passed. But you see, he was born with the month of the snake and the day of the tiger. So his whole life, he's just waiting for the monkey, okay? Now, nothing is really showing up in his luck pillar to be cautious about, nothing to freak out. As you can see, I don't know if you can read Chinese, but there is no monkey luck here. There's no monkey luck until he is 83 years old. So there really wasn't anything that would trigger alarms or a warning sign, so to speak. But Bill Paxton died 11 days after he had heart surgery. And look at the combination of the energy at the time of his death. It was the year of the tiger, the month of the tiger, and the day of the monkey. There's that monkey right there. And of course, he already had pre-existing conditions related to his heart. They said that the surgery was necessary in order to replace a heart valve and to repair some aorta damage. Did a little bit more digging. He actually had some kind of heart disease from childhood as a result of I think it was untreated strep throat, okay, that caused a fever and it damaged the valve in his aorta. So his whole life, he was like a ticking time bomb. And his real cause of death from his death certificate is a stroke, okay? And that is a fire penalty. There are many, many more examples. The actor, what is his name? He was in, oh my goodness, he has AIDS. I know that sounds like so aggressive. Charles, I can't remember his name, but his brother was Emilio Estevez. If somebody remembers what the name, you can tell me. There's also the basketball star. What is his name? See, I'm blanking out. The really, really tall guy. Let me see. Charlie Sheen. Yes, thank you so much. Charlie Sheen also has fire penalty. Freddie Mercury also had fire penalty. That's related to the blood. You see, blood, heart, aneurysm up here in the brain, blood circulation, okay, all of that, that's related to fire penalty. So if you have something like this in your BaZi chart, you have to pay attention to your cardiovascular health. Magic Johnson, thank you. You guys are awesome. See, this is why I have many brains. Yeah, all of them have fire penalty in their BaZi. So anyway, I have a workshop coming up later in the year. Unfortunately, this is only for in-person, but this workshop is more of a hands-on workshop. It's 4 hours. We're going to learn with each individual more about the symbolic stars that impact your chart. So what does the clash really mean? What are my clash signs? What are my noblemen? And if penalty applies to me, what are they? Where are they? And how does it really impact me? This is more of like a working workshop. It's really getting to know your BaZi chart in detail. So if you happen to be in Arizona in September, please join us. This is a one-time event this year, and I'll see if I'll roll that out into a remote workshop. And I also recently released my newsletter, just kind of getting a feel to see if people are interested in learning this more intimately and more formally. It's a little bit harder for me to put an event like this because it is a month-long commitment. If you are interested, it's tentatively scheduled for January. Please email me your intentions and I can put the program together and see if it's a good fit. But it will be held remotely, and we require 10 hours of time every week, 2 hours on a Wednesday and 8 hours on Saturday. So if this is something that you feel you're ready to embark on, certainly this is a great time to do that. I've rolled this program out for the last 3 years with great success, and people really enjoyed being able to digest the information in bite-sized pieces when we do it on this particular kind of schedule. So just let me know. Now we're going to move on and talk about Feng Shui for the month, okay? So when you look at the Feng Shui chart, okay, you'll see that there are two numbers. The number in the center, the one that's bigger, are the stars related to the year, okay? I'm not going to talk about the year stars in these monthly talks. If you're interested to know what the cures are for 2023, please refer back to the Chinese New Year talk because I just want to focus on the month. So here we are, we have to pay attention to number 5. Okay, number 5 is our biggest enemy. Number 5 is the culprit to hardships and struggles and difficulties. And so we always want to pay attention to where this number 5 is visiting us. And this month it's taking place in the center of our house. Okay, it's kind of a tricky area because sometimes the center of our house is a wall or is a hallway, okay? It depends. You have to look at your floor plan and kind of gauge what is the center of my floor plan. And you're gonna need to hang or put 6 metal rod wind chimes. Now, somebody had asked me, what is the difference between wind chimes and the coins? Well, the wind chimes have one additional feature that the coins don't have, which is sound, okay? Master Lo actually, he hangs the wind chimes inside his office and inside his home. He doesn't care. Some people are not really keen on having wind chimes inside their homes. But if you're one of those people that don't care, you can just, have a really small one, you can move it. But what he does is usually when he walks by, he'll like just hit it, so that the metal sound would go off. But sometimes you may have wind chimes outside, right outside of, maybe it's in your front yard or your backyard or side of the building. Certainly when you hang it outside, the wind chime will catch the breeze, right? When there's a wind, and then the object itself can ring itself. So then that metal sound is also a metal cure, okay? But there's no difference between the two. If it makes more sense for you to use the coins rather than the wind chimes, that's totally fine too. If you want to use salt cure or the gourd, the gold gourd, like a metal gourd, that's also fine, because at the end of the day, all of these objects are metal, and metal is the correct cure for number 5. And then we move on to the sickness. Okay, sickness is paying a visit here in the southwest side of our homes. Okay, so kind of take out your compass and figure out what is in the southwest side of my home. Now, if this is a bedroom or a kitchen, you must cure this, okay, because that's the number 2 is going to instigate some challenges or hiccups when it comes to our health. So sometimes it might just be that our sleep is disturbed a little bit. Maybe we're not sleeping very well. Maybe we catch a cold. We have really, really bad allergies. It's just like kind of that sicky feeling that you can't quite shake off. It's a temporary sickness, but if you're already battling something, like if you're in treatment or if you have a chronic disease, you definitely want to make sure you put that cure to suppress that energy from wreaking havoc, okay? Now, what's interesting this month is we have some really, really good stars in the south and in the north side of our house this year. The monthly star and the annual star pairing up is really powerful and really strong. But I do want to caution you that before you activate anything, make sure you know that you can activate it. And by activating, I mean like putting a water fountain, putting any kind of active objects to stimulate that energy. That's what we mean by active objects. But before you do that, it might be good to check because you don't want to inadvertently activate something that is not so good, and then it just creates more problem, all right? Creates more problem than good. Usually how you would know is if you've had your house feng shuied, or if you know how to do it yourself, then it's usually good to assess before you activate. Otherwise, just leave it alone, okay? Don't do anything with it. Okay, okay, Louisa, the center is my kitchen island. That's fine, then you can put the 6 metal coins. Maybe you just display it on your island. Maybe you can put it in a vase of some sort. You don't have to display it. Sometimes people tape it underneath their furniture, so you can't even see it. The goal here is not necessarily to have to display it. It works just fine if you hide it, okay? Certainly a lot of commercial businesses, you know, these Chinese tchotchkes don't go with their design and their decor, and they hide them, okay? But the important part is to have the cure there. I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but I just posted this, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. I actually found a wind chime that worked really, really well. It's one of my favorite because this wind chime is not super big. It's only about 16 inches long, and it comes with a stand. So why do I like this is because you can move it and you don't have to put a nail in the wall, you know, and it doesn't look weird that it's kind of dangling on your ceiling. And so here is the information for those that are interested in purchasing it. I think it was only like $22 or something like that. And it's very portable, and you can use this particular wind chime to be your monthly cure, you know, that you can kind of move it around every month. All right, so we're coming to the end of the workshop, but I also wanted to share, this is also a one-off workshop. We're going to be talking about period 9. This is very, very important in classical feng shui because in 2024, the energy of the feng shui, it transitions into period 9, and this is a very, very big deal. I just finished teaching a feng shui class to a great group of people, and we spent some time talking about this because if you ever traveled to Asia in the last 7-8 years, you may have noticed that a lot of commercial buildings, and including the temples and public spaces, have been doing a lot of renovations. And these efforts are to address the changing of energy. It's the changing of the 20-year cycle. It's a very, very big deal. So homes that are going to be constructed and completed beginning in 2024 for the next 20 years are going to be period 9. And there's a whole new theme coming into period 9 that I think would be, it deserves its own discussion separate from the Chinese New Year talk, because it's just a little bit too much. And we can go a little bit deeper with this workshop. I'm going to be offering this in person as well as on Zoom. So if you're interested in participating, that's going to be available in November. And then we have our course, again, the Feng Shui course in May of next year. The Feng Shui course can only be taught in person, so that's why I'm already sharing a year in advance so that you can make any plans, maybe perhaps to come see me in Scottsdale. All right, that's it. Next month, I'm going to see you on June 5th to prepare for the month of the horse. Thank you, everybody. I'll stay on for a couple minutes if you have any questions. And don't forget, it's Mother's Day, graduation day, all the things. I think there's questions. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful May.
Jen, I have a quick question.
I enjoy your Nobleman month.
Jen, I have a quick question. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So how does it work if you have a clash year, a double nobleman month, and a fire penalty when you have all 3?
Yes, that means your nobleman will help you overcome the fire penalty. Okay. The clash means it's time to change, and the change is positive. Okay. So, but remember what clash is at the end of the day. Clash is things don't go as planned, right? And so you may have a trajectory, like point A to point B to point C. But clash means you might go a different direction. But because you know it's your nobleman, you know that it's a good thing. Okay. So you're going to trust that change. You're going to trust that change in direction. And so it's just a very dynamic, active kind of turn your life upside down a little bit. It's exciting, you know, it's kind of if all three things happen to you, Louisa, that means you're kind of like the astronaut inside that rocket.
Okay. It's interesting. I'm so glad I jumped on because that's what I was feeling before I got on this call, and I was journaling on that. And then you said it all, what I was actually feeling. So
you're the astronaut, but imagine when that rocket launches, I mean, that's one in a lifetime experience, right? That you get to adventure on. And so, but it's scary because you also run the risk, right? Of that rocket exploding or something going wrong, or you get called off.
Yeah.
Right. So all those are the possibilities. Your nerves are up, you're very, very heightened, but this is the moment. This is the year for you to just kind of pull the trigger. And I'm saying this because I know her chart too. Okay. I'm not just saying it in general. Yeah, you're going to be fine. Okay. Just a lot. There's just a lot.
I saw that. I'm like, well, I have all three. Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Louisa Lightyear. Yeah. Allison, thank you. Can you please pop up the daily BaZi the day before, as in Australia, it comes up a day late. Oh, the daily BaZi. Okay. I'll try, because Australia is in the future. She's just saying, can you put your daily BaZi like sooner? I usually put it when I'm awake. I will do my best, Allison. Thank you for tuning in. All right, everyone. Bye. Take care.